Continuing now with Joe Garagiola's Baseball is a Funny Game. And in the last session, we finished Chapter 3, Digging in the Dugout. So now we move on to Chapter 4, Between the Foul Lines. Baseball is a game played with bat and ball and governed by rules set forth by a committee under the direction of the Commissioner of Baseball. Baseball is a game played by human beings and governed by unwritten laws of survival and self-preservation. You cross the white lines onto the field of action and find the air thick and tough to breathe. The mound makes you a sitting duck. The ball weighs a ton. The distance to home plate seems to be farther than to the center field flagpole. You are a midget pitching to Superman. The hitter is on top of you and the double-deck stands are tumbling down. How do you perform between the foul lines? The same thick air surrounds the batter's box. The mound is a mountain. You are at the bottom trying to hit uphill. The pitcher is King Kong. The bat should have telephone wires on it the way it feels. Somebody must have put grease in the rosin. Even the spikes are complaining through your shoes. They can't find the right spot in the batter's box. Now, how do you perform between the foul lines? Baseball is still a game, but not a game of boyhood dreams. Now you have to win. In a dream, it's your grand slam home run that wins it in the bottom of the ninth for your team, or it's the 3-2 curveball strikeout that gives you the fourth game of your first World Series. There was never any place in your dreams for the knockdown pitch, the slide that breaks up the double play. But in the game, that's real. Tip your hand that you don't like it, and you're through. You're not going to take it away from me, says the pitcher to himself as he picks out his target high and tight. You're a good guy, but it takes the edge away from you when you go down. He's got a bad right leg, the batter is thinking. His toughest play is a bunt down the third baseline. It'll make that leg crumple up. He's a nice guy and he's fighting to hang on. This might be his last start and he might be through. Bunt down the third baseline and send him a get well card. The law of the battleground. You learn the laws in a hurry. Compromise and you're through. Hit him hard when you break up the double play and the next time he'll run out to left field. Your first swing around the league breaks you in. The clubhouse, the dugouts, the autographs are window dressings. It's between the foul lines that counts. The home runs in batting practice get you a few ohs and ahs from the fans and the label of a 1 o'clock hitter from the players. There are no 1 o'clock hitters in baseball's Hall of Fame. You clench your fist and tell yourself that the first punch better get you because you're giving it back. He knocks you down and you don't like it, but it's you or him. He slides hard on the double play, down you go, but you don't let him beat you getting up. It's you or him. He's going to bowl you over to score that run. Brace yourself and don't rub when you get up. It's you or him. You can't call for help and you can't go home. You don't like it, but it's you or him. Run and you are through. To some, the air gets thicker now. The bat isn't long enough, and the pitcher is too close. This is the beginning of the end. Others go down to the dirt, but come up with the flashing thought, I've got to battle back. This is the end of the beginning. The small and frail depend on their agility. He hit me when I made the double play going across the bag, so this time I'll make it from behind the bag. I'll get the bag between me and him. But you stay. Run into left field, and you're through. The big awkward guy comes ready to be hurt. They might get me this time, but they won't run me out of the ballpark. He might be scared, but you'll never know it. He's average, but trouble makes him a Hall of Famer. Run and you're through. Battle back and they'll say, let the big guy sleep, don't get him mad. Baseball is a game of size of the heart. The little man has the equalizer in the batter's box with the bat and ability to bunt. A 6'4" Don Newcomb doesn't have the edge on a 5'9" Don Blasingame who can bunt and run like a deer. A 6'4" Duke Snyder doesn't tower over an Elroy Face, who's 5'7", because the equalizer is uncanny control. The size that counts is the size of the heart. Wear it on your sleeve and somebody will knock it off. These are the laws. You live by them and you interpret them the way you know will keep you in baseball. Compromise and you're through. Tim Thompson, the Kansas City catcher, was having trouble getting his pitcher, Virgil Trucks, to agree to a signal. Billy Klaus, then a Red Sox infielder, was the batter. "Don't you know what Trucks wants to throw?" Billy said to the catcher. "No, I don't know what he wants to throw," said Thompson. "Give him the knockdown sign. That's what he wants to do, knock me down," said Billy Klaus. Thompson gave the sign. Trucks nodded. Trucks threw. Klaus went down. Klaus got up. The game went on. I have heard this pitch called many things: the beanball, the knockdown, the duster, the brushback, and the low bridge pitch. I think the best name for it is the one that Mr. Branch Rickey gives it. Mr. Rickey calls it the purpose pitch. At the end of the 1951 season at Pittsburgh, Mr. Rickey held a fall camp for his cream of the crop rookies. In this camp were 65 of the can't-miss boys in the Pirates organization. To name a few: Bob Friend, Ronnie Klein, Vern Law, and Bob Skinner. It was here that I heard of this pitch. His description was both flowery and logical. "When you throw it, let it serve a purpose," shouted Mr. Rickey as he ended his speech. The purpose, I guess, is to separate the head from the shoulders. Almost no pitcher will deliberately throw to hurt anyone. He uses this weapon as a means of survival, to take the edge away from the hitter. He uses it in retaliation against opposing pitchers throwing at his players. So it is a purpose pitch. It delivers a message. In 1943, my first full year in professional baseball, I was with the Columbus Redbirds of the American Association as a 17-year-old boy. We were playing the Toledo Mud Hens, then a farm club of the St. Louis Browns. And my first time up, I had hit a 2-run triple off a left-hander named Bill Seinsoth, who later went to the big leagues with the Browns. The next time at bat, I had to go down. I hit the next ball hard but foul, and the next pitch had me looking at the stars again. I finally hit a fly ball to the center fielder. When I came back to the bench, I sat down between our manager, Nick Cullop, and our first-string catcher, the veteran Tommy Heath. "Man, he's wild now, isn't he?" I remarked. "He didn't seem that wild my first time up." Nick and Tommy broke out laughing, and then they let me in on the big secret. Mr. Seinsoft's control was as sharp as ever. I saw this scene reenacted in 1952. I was then with the Pittsburgh Pirates, my first full year there after being traded from the St. Louis Cardinals. In Pittsburgh, that was the year of the Great Experiment. It was the 9th year of Mr. Rickey's 5-year plan, which was known as Operation Peach Fuzz, but we were usually called the Singer Midgets and the Rickey Dinks. With all our inexperienced players, we got off to a slow start. We lost 10 out of the first 14 and then had a slump. In July, our pitching and hitting slumped together, and we had a long losing streak. We got a break in August. One of our pitchers went home, and we were rained out of 5 games. The thing that really hurt us that year was the terrible finish. We ended up losing 112 games out of 154. So that meant we won 42, not in a row, but we won them. We had just finished a homestand, and we opened in Cincinnati. Bubba Church was pitching for the Redlegs with a 2-run lead going into the 6th. Gus Bell, then with us at Pittsburgh, hit a home run on the first pitch. Ralph Kiner hit a home run on a 2-ball, no-strike pitch to tie the game, and I came up and hit the first pitch for a home run to break the tie. Bobby Del Greco, one of our young outfielders, was the next hitter. Personal observation, I remember Bobby Del Greco because he was the A's center fielder when we first got to Kansas City in 1962. On the first pitch, down he goes. Up he comes. Next pitch, and down he goes. On the 2-2 pitch, he flied out to the left fielder. When Del Greco came back to the bench, he sat down next to Clyde McCullough, then a 15-year man in the big leagues. Bobby said, "Man, he's wild. I thought he was supposed to have pretty good control." McCullough, the philosopher, looked at Bobby and in his best southern drawl said, "Son, when the 3 previous hitters have hit the ball out of the park, go up there and go down before you see the whites of his eyes." The big bombers hit the ball out of the park, and the BB shooters get knocked down. A Duke Snyder and a Gil Hodges hit home runs, but a Junior Gilliam gets knocked down. A Mickey Mantle and a Yogi Berra hit home runs, and a Bobby Richardson gets knocked down. I followed Gus Bell and Ralph Kiner when I was at Pittsburgh, and I spent a lot of time in a horizontal position. And I, like a lot of players in those shoes, wondered why they throw at a confirmed 250 hitter. The pitcher is steaming, though, and he isn't going to take any more chances. You happen to be the man with the opportunity to get hit or go down. Buddy Blattner, another ball player turned broadcaster, and I'll say here Buddy Blattner was the play-by-play man for the Kansas City Royals, their first few seasons when Kansas City received an expansion team in 1969. Buddy Blattner, another ball player turned broadcaster, was on the 1947 New York Giants, which set the record for most home runs hit by a team, 221, tied in 1956 by Cincinnati. In the Giant lineup, Bud followed such heavy artillery as Willard Marshall, Sid Gordon, Johnny Mize, and Walker Cooper. During one of these bombing sessions, Gordon, Mize, and Cooper hit home runs on 5 pitches. Here comes our hero, Buddy Blattner, knowing what to expect. First pitch, here it comes, and down he goes. Up he comes, and down he goes. After his routine out, Blattner took his seat on the bench. Big Walker Cooper looked at him and said, "I'll say one thing, Blattner, they really respect you." You improvise on the unwritten rules and you interpret, but you stand up and get counted. Run and you're through. 1949 was a great year for battles between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. I was then with the Cardinals. The double play combination that year for Pittsburgh was Danny Murtaugh at second and Stan Rojek at shortstop. During a game in St. Louis, I walked first time up, and in trying to break up a double play, I hit Rojek pretty hard. He said something, and I said something, but no fireworks. Second time up, same thing. This time, Rojek's diction had improved, and so had mine. I didn't think I could live up to his descriptive adjectives, and I don't think he could stand the heat where I told him to go and how to get there, but still no fireworks. The third time up, I get a base on balls, and here I am on first again. When I joined Murtaugh a few seasons later at Pittsburgh, I learned that although they had a chance to tie a double play record, they had worked it out that the pivot man was going to get me first and then try for the double play. Well, here comes a ground ball on one hop to Murtaugh at second base. The cooperative Murtaugh waited until I got about 10 steps from the bag and then flipped the ball to Rojek, and he's waiting for me. Rojek jumped straight up for the pivot and came right down on my leg. I gave him a kick with my free leg, and there was more descriptive language. He had accomplished it, though, as I was roughed up pretty good, but there was more to come. Ken Johnson was our pitcher, a left-hander all the way. If the strike zone had been high and outside, he would have been great. He was used by manager Eddie Dyer to mop up games. Rojek, the first hitter, always crowded the plate. The first pitch Johnson threw beamed him. As he went down, the Pittsburgh club came after me. I'll say this for the late Bill Meyer, the Pirate manager. He was the first to challenge me, even though there was about 40 years difference in our ages. There was some shoving and brushing and a lot of words, but no battles. Rojek said later that he lost the ball, but that meant nothing. I was marked. The next trip into Pittsburgh, I knew I was marked. There are 2 ways to get to the visitors' dugout in Forbes Field, around the first base stands or a shortcut through the Pirate dugout. I wasn't about to strain relations just to save a few steps. I took the long way. The stands were packed, and the minute I stepped on the field, the boos began. I was walking with Howard Paulette and talking as usual and didn't realize the boos were for me. I didn't know until they announced the lineup that the boos were for me and that I was not the people's choice. As soon as I took my position behind the plate, the Pirates' dugout, led by Dixie Walker, made the fans sound like angels. Dixie had a piercing voice that reached farther than his vocabulary, which was advanced. The first time up, I made a routine out after being knocked down once by pitcher Rip Sewell. I didn't realize it then, but it turned out the first knockdown was a calling card by Rip, telling me that he would be back. Jocko Conlon was the umpire behind the plate. Sewell came up to hit. I thought the second pitch was a strike and said to Jocko, "Where was the pitch?" Before Conlon could say anything, Sewell turned around and said to me, "Why don't you let him umpire, Bush?" An expression used by players meaning bush leaguer, the lowest form of baseball life. "The ball was low," continued Sewell. "Who's asking you? Why don't you just hit?" was my reply to him. "You punk, you've been a bush dago ever since you came into the league." "Maybe I have, but I'm not an old goat like you." "Keep popping off and I'll stick one in your ear," Rip continued. "With the garbage you throw, you couldn't hurt me if you hit me." I later realized that was the wrong thing to say. The next time I came up, the low bridge went down, and it was a good one. Bat one way, cap another, and me down. I got up and said nothing, but knew he meant business. I planted my feet in the batter's box, but not for long. The next pitch really upended me. That was 2 knockdowns. Run and you're through. I had seen our third baseman, Whitey Korowski, retaliate on a pitcher with a bunt down the first baseline. The idea being that the first baseman would field the ball and the pitcher would cover the bag and you could walk up his back. That's what I decided to do. A perfect bunt. Ed Stevens, the Pirate first baseman, fielded the bunt, and Sewell started for the bag. After taking 2 steps toward the bag, he turned and came straight for me. He threw a football block into me, knocking me into the Pirate dugout. When I had stopped rolling, all I could see were Pirate uniforms and spikes. I later saw Rip Sewell in DeLand, Florida at a Pirate camp, and Murtaugh reintroduced us. Joe, you know Rip. Rip, you know Joe. Now I don't know if you two want to talk or fight. We shook hands. It was the law between the foul lines, survival. It is no disgrace to be beaten, but compromise and you're through. Jimmy Dykes says they are much politer in the American League about the knockdown. He says that in American League, just after a fastball leaves his hand, the pitcher yells, "Look out!" In this Emily Post group of pitchers, you have to put Harry Burkeen, the cat, at the top of the list. This little fellow was one of the great competitors, and he used everything he could muster to beat you. He was small in size, 5'6" and 155 pounds, but the tougher the spot, the more heart he showed. The cat was always taking the edge away from the hitters. He was a polite one, though, and you could hear him holler, "Look out!" as you were picking yourself up off the ground. Even a loud foul off him was an invitation. On the next pitch, you got the RSVP. The cat was hooked up with Monty Kennedy of the Giants in a real duel until Mize hit a 3-2 curveball on the roof for the tie-breaking home run. "He'll never hit another curveball off me for a home run," stormed the cat as he came into the dugout. The next time up, Johnny worked the count to 2 strikes and 1 ball when he was plunked with a curveball. He had to leave the game, and the Giants were without his big bat for the rest of the game. As soon as Mize was hit, Mel Ott, then Giant manager, called Kennedy. "Monty, the next time that little so-and-so comes up there, I want you to hit him right on the knee. Right on the knee. If you don't, it's going to cost you $50. Kennedy pleaded with Ott. "Don't hold me to it, Skip. I'll try, but my control ain't that good. If I hit him, it'll be the first time I ever hit anything I aimed for." "You better hit him," came the answer. Burkeen steps into the box. On the first pitch, Kennedy threw a fastball and hits the cat right on the knee. Kennedy was so happy that he jumps up and down on the mound yelling, "I saved $50, I hit him." The cat knows the Giants are retaliating, and he won't even rub to give the Giants the satisfaction that they hurt him. He took about 10 steps and went down in a heap. The legs are the toughest part of the body to get out of the way when the baseball is coming at you. But the real danger pitch is the one behind the hitter. The natural tendency of the hitter is to back away, and if the ball is behind him, he backs into the pitch. Jocko Conlon, National League umpire, tells how a control pitcher is sometimes used to give the batter the message. It was while Jocko was in the American Association as a player. They were involved in a knockdown contest, and it took 4 pitches before Jocko was conked on the elbow. Joe Hauser, home run king of the Minneapolis Millers, was the first baseman. "How about that guy throwing at me? Even on 3-0, he throws at me," said Jocko to Hauser, who was always a target. Joe turned to Jocko and said, "Quit moaning. When they want to get me, they take out pitchers like that and put in somebody who can throw harder with control." Sal Magley wasn't called the barber because of his ability with a comb and scissors. DeRocher was supposed to have hung the nickname on him when he said that Magley looked like the barber in the 4th chair. When you bat against Magley, you have a different reason for calling him the barber. The barber reminds you of the story told about the hitter who told a knockdown artist that he would knock down his own mother on Mother's Day. "I would," replied the pitcher, "if she was crowding the plate." Sal Magley isn't antisocial, but very seldom did you see him fraternizing. Why? "I don't want to get to know the other guys too well. I might like them, and then I might not want to throw at them." And that reminds me, personal observation here, Bob Gibson. He would never fraternize with players on the other team. Even when he was on the All-Star team, he wouldn't fraternize with he wouldn't talk to the guys who were on his National League team with him because in a couple of days, he's going to be playing against those guys again. Cardinals versus Pirates, Cardinals versus Giants, Cardinals versus Dodgers, and so forth. And he doesn't want to lose his edge. Pressure is defined as a state of being pressed. Harassment, oppression, a state of trouble, or embarrassment. This is the climatic condition between the foul lines. The players define it like this. It's here that you rise to the occasion. Here's where you separate the men from the boys. Between the foul lines, the boys are changed into men. Now we'll separate the sheep from the goats. Never mind the lip service. Show me when you cross the white lines. Walter Shannon, an executive of the St. Louis Cardinals, illustrates it with a tryout camp experience. The strapping boy said he was a pitcher. On the sidelines, he had fair ability. A fair fastball, no curve, but pretty good control. The last two can be taught, but the first, the fastball, has to be a gift, along with the greatest gift, which is an intangible competitive fire. In the game, the kid showed nothing. 2 or 3 more tries and still nothing. So the boy was told that he didn't have major league potential. He just did not have a good enough fastball. Find something else to do. I know I ain't throwing hard here, the boy said, but you ought to see me fire that ball behind my garage in the alley. The breathing was easier in the alley. All major league scouts would be almost infallible if they could see inside the boy. Catch a hot hand and get a base hit in the right spot, and you're tabbed a money player. Make the play in the jam, and you're known as a guy with average ability but one who doesn't scare. Compromise, and you lose it. You're through. I don't know of any ball player who doesn't feel it. They all have a way of hiding it. Bravery is the capacity to perform properly even when scared half to death, said General Omar Bradley. If you're scared, just holler and you'll find it ain't so lonesome out there, said Joe Sugden. They were both talking about it. In a big game, a World Series or a key pennant game, I was always hoping the first ball would be a pop foul. A foul tip off the mask would help. Football players need the first contact. Human beings run on flesh and blood, not batteries. It's natural to feel it, but you hide it. Show it and you're through. Most ball players are loud. I always feel that's a way they hide it. Others use silence to hide it. He's mean on that mound. He won't talk before a game. The loud ones hide it behind an air of confidence. The silent ones won't let you inside the shell. Then the battle is on. Tip your hand and you're through. But the idea is to win the game, and it takes a team to win. It's pitching, hitting, and defense that wins. Any two can win. All three make you unbeatable. The underlying factor is the team. Team is defined as a group of persons associated in some joint action. The purpose in baseball is to win. To win, you need 9 individuals working together, each of whom has a feeling for the fine line between self-preservation and sacrifice to the team. Between the foul lines is a world in which the highest laws of civilization and the most fundamental laws of the jungle apply. Each player is alone, and they're all working together. The catcher signals the pitch. The shortstop or second baseman picks it up and relays it to the infield and outfield. Watch that shortstop or second baseman next time. When he raises his glove to his face, he's flashing a sign to the infield. Mouth closed might mean a fastball, open, a curveball. Then there will be a prearranged sign with the outfielders. One method is to show them the glove. When he sees it, the outfielder knows it's a curveball. When the infielder shields his glove, the outfielder knows it's a fastball. How can he give a clear signal with a natural move? He can hold his glove out in front and pound it. You've seen infielders do this. To you, it's nothing. The outfielder sees no glove, so it's a fastball. Let a smart base runner get on second, and the counterintelligence system goes into action. He watches the catcher give signs, making a note of how he starts, the second sign, the last sign, and what digit was repeated most often, any one of which can be the key. When the runner comes to the bench, he reports his observations. When the next base runner gets to second, he compares this information with what he sees. Catchers fight this by using switches that change signs from pitch to pitch. Infielders keep smart base runners on the move, even though there is no chance for a pickoff play. Pee Wee Reese was a good man to keep moving when he was on at second base. Sometimes the best of teammates play like they were trying to lose. Players come and go, but regulars like Alphonse and Gaston last forever. 2 ball players are under a fly ball, and either can make the catch, and the ball falls safe. Leo DeRocher once introduced teammates Willie Mays and Don Mueller very formally on the bench. As Walker Cooper once said on a windy day, the fly balls are too high to handle. The top banana in the cast between the foul lines has to be the take charge guy. He is the must guy. Trades are made for this type. We can't win without one. We lose because we don't have one. What is a take charge guy? I say that some players that are typed take charge are a creation of the fellow that wrote the so-called book on baseball. Dig a little deeper, and he's the same guy that says a good little man can't beat a good big man. He probably never bet against the Yankees or Notre Dame either. Most Spitfire type players are tagged take charge guys. A lot of Spitfire ball players make up for lack of talent by determination and holler. What makes take charge is the determination, not the holler. All the hollering in the infield can't stop a run from scoring. The pitcher isn't looking for a pep talk when there's a bunt situation with men on first and second. He wants to know whether to throw to third base or first base. He needs help. His back is to the play. The real take charge guy will call this play. The holler guy will clam up because he's afraid if he yells the wrong base, the manager might give it to him. If the play is made, he'll holler the number of outs to everybody in the ballpark. Holler guys are good for a ball club. You need them. They make you look wide awake. But a good little guy can beat a good big man. And not all holler guys are take charge guys. Maybe the holler guy runs in on every pitch, but he says nothing of value to the pitcher. Give me the quiet take charge guy who makes the plays and comes in when the game is at stake. He might just say, bear down and make him hit the ball. I'll make the play for you. Then the pitcher knows he's not alone. The mound becomes a mountain. There are a lot of ways take charge players show it, but it's not easy to hear it. To take charge might mean to make maybe a useless shoestring catch. Jim Busby crashed into a wall, making the last out in the top of the ninth, even though his club was trailing 15-1. How many players that night wondered, was I putting out as much as Busby today? Taking charge might be the tag play at the plate when you're trailing by 10 runs, and as catcher, you block the plate and the runner bows you over. You might have sidestepped him, or it might be taking the shortstop out of the double play when your team is out of the game. You could have gone through the motions of sliding. Name some names. Sure. Alvin Dark. I saw him and heard him get on a giant pitcher while the team was coming down the stretch for the 1954 pennant. It shook up the whole ball club. This pitcher had just given up a 3-run homer to the opposing pitcher. He came to the bench and said he didn't want to throw the pitch the catcher had called for. Alvin Dark heard him and let him have it. He didn't wait for manager DeRocher or any of Leo's coaches. We're trying to win a pennant, and if you don't want to throw a pitch, don't throw it. If you don't want to pitch, get out. But don't alibi, just bear down. The pitcher came back with shutout innings and a victory. Alvin Dark isn't the Spitfire type, and that wasn't a display of temper, but of competitive fire. Hello was a major speech of Joe DiMaggio, but the Yankees followed the Yankee Clipper. Charlie Gehringer, the great Detroit Tigers second baseman, was known as the Mechanical Man. You don't holler your way into the Hall of Fame. I saw Terry Moore grab a pitcher by his throat and shake him when he was throwing excuses and alibis instead of good stuff. All Terry Moore told him was, do what you said you were going to do, and the rest of us will make our plays. In a tough spot, Terry might say to a hitter, bear down, kid, and get a piece of the ball. Something would rub off on the kid. Harry Burkeen would never win the Emily Post Award for etiquette on the mound, but he won 4 games in the World Series. The infield of Whitey Kurowski at third, Marty Marion at shortstop, Red Shaindienst at second base, and Stan Musial at first base would never win a hog calling contest, but it won a world championship. That's 1946, by the way. Between the foul lines, your time is measured. You guard it, you hoard it, and you protect it, but you lose it. Time robs you of the downhill spring in your legs. Your wrists become handcuffed. The lights are no longer bright enough, and day games after night games make your bones ache. You're not old in age, but baseball time loses you. Victories and base hits are the candles on your baseball birthday cake. Baseball is a game played with a bat and a ball and governed by rules. Baseball is a drama with an endless run and an ever-changing cast. It has to be. From the legend of a Babe Ruth, there came a kid out of Commerce, Oklahoma, Mickey Mantle. From the legend of a Walter Johnson came a pitcher named Robin Roberts. Now for you, it's over. You move on. You lived your boyhood dream. Memories stamp the dream as false. The Grand Slammer is now a squeeze bunt in a winning game. The no-hitter is now a successful pickoff play that won for you. You crossed the foul lines and you're different. You breathed the thick air and you lived and battled with the chosen 400 between the foul lines. Thus ends chapter 4, Between the Foul Lines. And I've gone well over, almost to 30 minutes now, so I've gone well over the 20 minutes, but I wanted to complete that chapter. I'm going to try to do that with this book because most of the chapters are well within range of that. And in the next session, we will begin chapter 5, the meeting on the summit. Thank you for watching.